self.padding. So this saves the padding variable as, oh wait, that's what it is, isn't it? I'd have to double check. I think self dot might be, all right, so I was telling you every instance of a class is different. I think the self dot padding may be able to change all the information in all the classes. So I'd have to double check that. Yeah, I think that might have been it. I'll double check. I'll come back to you guys with that on the next lesson. So checking the chat, and standard padding with minus standard padding times 2. Okay, I'm checking some of these. So this here is a formula. Once again, another reason why you would want to use something else instead of a variable. You'd want to use a method. Self.padding equals standard padding, saving that. So all of these are things that you should understand. So looking at this, this is a formula. When we call content height, it's going to do this math and then return that to us. So the reason why there isn't a return here is because you can use whatever's at the end of the method is usually returned depending on what the value is. If there's a formula at the end of a method, if there's a formula at the end of a method, it'll return that. If I put at height right here, it would return at height. So the reason why we use a return is if we have just a number. So you can't have a number at the end of a method. I cannot have 24 right here because then it'll kick back an error because it doesn't understand what that 24 is doing. I would have to use return 24. So wait 1 sec. I'm getting a phone call. That's weird. Oh. Hey, what's up? Okay, sounds good. Alright, thanks. Later. Done and done. Okay. Let's see, I'm gonna go put a blanket on. Weather's getting chilly, so it's nice to have. Alright. No, spam, why would you do this? Okay. So let's see, def contents height minus standard padding. Okay, so as you can see, this is a formula. Formulas, updating padding. So every time we call update padding, it updates the padding to be the standard padding. Line number times line height plus standard padding, another formula. So there's just a ton of formulas in here. And the reason why we would use return is if we have numbers or if we want to stop the processing past it. So because like I said, return stops any code after it from happening. So there. All right, so this is calling contents.dispose. So that's calling a method from another class or from a class inside here. If contents with, all right, so this double end is basically the same thing as end. So one thing about Ruby is there's a whole bunch of different ways to write things. End can also be, is the same thing as, there's my double end. Where's my ampersands? They're there. These are the same thing, and these are the same thing. So 2 straight lines is the same thing as or, and 2 ampersands is the same thing as and. So if you ever see this, it's the same thing as and. All right, greater than, that's a comparator. You don't have to worry too much. I already taught you those. Self.contents, bitmap.new. So here we have the contents. So we are saving the contents variable as bitmap. Let's see. So we're creating a new instance of the bitmap class. We're passing the information here to it, self.contents, and we're saving it as the contents variable. Sort of a global class variable, I think that's what self is. It's like a global class variable, which sounds confusing, and but basically it's like this local var. This would be different for each instance of a class, where I believe self dot local var would be the same for every instance of that class. So if I remember correctly, I'll have to once again double check it. Let me make sure I'm not feeding you incorrect information. Anyways, this, as you can see right here, is a global variable, and this is a method of that global variable. So let's see, touchy that. Bitmap.new, obviously there's a new class being, an instance of a class being created and saved to a global local variable. There's two different reasons. So if they are both, the contents and the height are greater than 1 or greater than 0, we'll save the contents width and contents height. We'll pass those through. Otherwise, we're just passing 1 into it. So let's see, update. This calls a bunch of let's see, this calls a whole bunch of, let's see, first it inherits all the class stuff, and then it also adds update tone, update open, update close. This just calls methods. So you guys should be able to go through this and be able to read what it's doing, what's happening here, and that's the goal right now. Our goal is for you to be able to go through something like this, whereas before, if you had no idea how to script, you'd go through all this and you'd be like, I have no idea what any of this is, oh my god. Now you can just go, okay, well, this is the draw actor name class, or not class, this is the draw actor name method. And if I use Control F, I can just sorry, got something stuck in my throat. Anyways, I can do draw actor name, and eventually, hold on. So if I can't find it in the list here, I can find it somewhere. So def draw actor name right here, window base. So this is being called, and then now this is being done. So now you have to go find change color and draw text in order to figure out what this one's doing. So it's going to change color and draw text. So then you have to go hunt down those methods, and after you find those methods, you'll probably have to do some more hunting. So it's basically going through, in order to use a lot of the scripts in Ruby and to make your own scripts, you'll probably have to hunt down a lot of methods and figure out what they do, and then change them to fit your needs. So that's a lot of learning Ruby scripting. It's a little less on the programming side, but a lot more on the understanding what to do with all the stuff they've created that you can use. So we have draw item name, draw actor param, draw currency. We have a whole bunch of them. We have these ones that are returning like this. This is just like what I was telling you. If the return power up color, if change, so it's going to return this and stop. If this condition is met, it's going to return this and then stop. And if nothing if these two aren't true, then it's just going to return the normal color. So that's a good example of what I mean with the returns. The CX change color. So this is basically saving. Oh, that's right. I don't think I taught method variables. So a method variable has nothing before it. Remember, at was the local variable. Self.local var is a global local variable, and the $sign local var or global variable. is a global variable, basically. So the local variable can be used inside the class. The self.local variable is used inside the class and affects all the instances of the class. The global variable can be used and referenced anywhere, not just in the class, not just in a class, but all over the code. Let's see, the next one would be. There's also another one which has two @ symbols. You will almost never see it. There are a few coders who do use it, but generally you won't see it much. And right now, because I've seen it so little, I've completely forgotten what it does. It's a special type of class variable though, and for all I know, it could just be a shorthand of the self.local variable. I'd have to double check that. Actually, you know what, let's go to look it up real quick. Array. In Ruby. Sometimes it doesn't like checking for it. Yeah, this is one of those instances where it's going to be actually kind of hard for me to find the @ in Ruby. Let me double check. Nope. Ruby operators could be. Oh yeah, the exponent and the modulus are two very useful ones. I could do a modulus or modulo tutorial sometime, but may not be the most necessary. So let's see. No, it's not even in here. Then Ruby variables in Ruby. Let's try this. All right, naming. Looks like Siggles. Here we are. Must be part of Siggles right here. Yeah, it's not really telling me. Oh yeah. Okay, maybe these are, yeah, anyways. To be fair, I did learn in Lua, so if I mix up some of the terminologies, it's basically because I was learning in Lua before and they had a different name for certain things. Anyways, either way though, the principles behind the information's the same. So, method variable would be have no name. It would be just method var. So it would just be that. And method variables only work inside of the method they're in. So in this case, cx is a method variable, and it only works inside of the method it's in. So remember, being more specific in coding is desired. You always want to be as specific as possible because it's a computer and you really do have to be specific with it. So let's see, parem change color, looks good. All this is coming together, looks good. Cursor fix all. So then we would go to a bunch of different other things. So Windows is probably one of the easiest things, and it's one of the first things that you will typically be taught in a tutorial on scripting. So we may just start off with making a new window or manipulating an existing window. So it's good to know some of the window commands. We won't do that quite yet. So you guys know a whole bunch of different information right now. I'll have to go through it again tomorrow. We might skip over some of the beginning ones just because I've kind of been pounding those into your heads. Add a reader, add a writer, add an accessor. Looks good. Like so far, I don't even think